Hello, hello. You better turn your volume on. Or maybe. There we go.
Okay. Yeah, you guys should be able to hear me now. Oh, it's yeah, yeah. Just to confirm. Hey, what's up, Frey Brad? Um, yeah, guys, welcome in. This is episode 70 of the update log. 70 episodes in. It's I'm Rob, your host, and this is my co-host Greg, and or Razmtaz, as he's known in some circles. Um, and yeah, this is episode 70, as the title in some circles. And as the title suggests, do you really own your games? Maybe. Um, and for those of you who have been keeping up and, who are not being hammered by hurricanes, I'm looking at you, North Carolina and Florida. Uh, so yeah, actually, small little segue there. For those who are suffering from Hurricane Helene and about to be hit by Hurricane Milton, please be safe. Um, do what you got to do to take care of you and your loved ones, because it's an unfortunate situation to be in. But yeah, prayers are going out to you guys. That aside, uh, California has basically Governor Gavin Newsom, excuse me, has signed a bill into law that will get California Governor Gavin Newsom has signed a bill into law that will force storefronts to admit you don't actually own your digitally purchased games, films, TVs, and shows. You are just licensing them. Now, that was a quote from a post by IG. A very, very, very much a strong way of putting that, but we will go into that in tonight's episode. And again, this is a conversation, guys, so please keep it civil. There are legitimate points on both sides, I guess, if you want to say there are sides. Honestly, I think people just needed to just take a breath and not, it's not that deep. It's not that deep, in my opinion, not that deep. Um, but what that particular post is saying by IGN, and let me go back real quick and pull up the information on the law. Let's see, it is. So it is, again, it was a law signed by Governor Newsom, AB 2426, which is basically California's attempt to combat disappearing purchases of digital games, movies, music, ebooks, things like that. So basically, it's a piece of legislation that is about to be put in place. I think they said it's going to be next year. They didn't give a specific date, so it might be the turn of the new year. So January 1st of 2025 might be the inception date for this particular law, AB 2426 in California, that is essentially going to have stipulations where companies, storefronts, so think GOG, think uh, Valve, Steam, and similar storefronts essentially change the wording to properly reflect. Sorry, my dog was making a bunch of racket over there. Um, they change the wording on their storefronts from things like purchase and buy, which most people would assume means I buy, I own, to, again, as my opinion and kind of spitballing, maybe licensing or leasing, um, so that you're properly aware of the fact that this is something that you don't own, you're renting or borrowing. I think renting is a purchase. Yeah, you're purchasing a license to, yeah, exactly. You're purchasing a license to access the product, not the product itself. Which that, there you go. For as long as there's a lot that goes into that, because on the one hand, I agree with that. I agree that the verbiage should clearly state 100% the particulars of this particular transaction. Meaning, as you said, hey, you're purchasing access, purchasing a license to utilize the product for the duration of its life cycle. You know, because again, yeah, purchasing, buying, when you put those words out there, that does evoke, okay, well, I bought it, I own it, when that's not in fact the case. With a lot of digital goods nowadays, as we've seen, in this past year, and earlier, in April, you'd had, the Ubisoft pulling the crew from people's libraries. You had Sony pulling content from people's libraries without telling them, um, or I believe without telling them. Now, I could be wrong on that, so take it with a grain of salt. I believe folks were not informed of the removal of their, you know, without informed. Okay, I think Sony did. I believe Sony did. Um, so, uh, which again, hey, I get it. You buy something, then you have some Yahoo come in there and then pull something out of your library without telling you. On top of that, they yank it, and then they don't even give you the common courtesy of an email or something. Like, hey, look, we'll be removing this XYZ at such and such time. You know, there you go. Um, so I do agree with that piece of the law. Yeah, yeah, if you're lucky. Um, so i- it's one of those things where I agree with it, but I also have to point something out here. It's not like they don't tell us. If any one of us, and yeah, I'm going to be that guy. I'm going to bring up the terms of service, you know, terms and conditions that are put out there with every purchase, clearly states the stipulations of your purchase. Now, is it a long read? Yeah, I've read one in total. I don't remember. It was for a game, but I read one, and boy, was it the driest. My eyes glazed over, so I had to take breaks. Okay, so I'm just gonna admit that up front. I had to take breaks because it was, whew. But I did read one, and I understood. Now, the reason why I'm bringing that up, and again, I'm not the only one. It's been brought up by folks who are, I guess, the best way I could put it, defending, the companies and people within those companies. It's clearly stated the terms and conditions of the purchase of our of XY product. Now, the problem with that is, and not everyone reads it. I'd go so far as to say, very small percentage of people actually read the T's and C's for anything they buy. They just want to buy the fucking thing, and I understand that too. um, so, as someone who deals in some contracts, Greg, I'm sure you do at some some points in your job. I don't know. What's your take on this? Like, what's and as someone who buys games and buys digital products, man, what's your take? Yeah, yeah, neither do I. Mm, yeah. Oh, what? Can't hear Greg apparently. Thank you for that, Fabrin. Yeah, think it might be some leftover
There we go.
from our stream. Okay. Hey Frank, can you confirm that you can hear Greg and still hear me?
There we go. I think I got the bugs ward. There we go. Well, I'm just gonna keep talking anyway, and if I'm silent,
All right.
still.
He's so stunned.
Indeed, I
All
am
right.
so stunned. I am silent. So yeah. Anyway, when it comes to these user agreements, yeah, I don't read through the whole thing either. But in my professional life, I have to do that because I got to know what's in there.
Mm,
But when it comes to buying a video game or something like that, no, I'm not going to read through the 40-page document of this and that and the next thing. But I also understand that there's probably going to be things that potentially are going to happen, or there's probably things in there that I wouldn't like, and that's fine. That's part of the purchase that you're making. For
yeah.
these are nothing new. This stuff is nothing new.
Nope.
This has been around since
For a
way
long
before
time.
I was a kid. So
Yep.
to claim ignorance and say, well, it's full of legalese and nobody's gonna read it, and okay, you're right. You're not wrong. You're
You don't
absolutely
read
right.
it, that's on you.
But that's exactly here's the thing with this. If you're buying products from somebody thinking, this is mine now, and if it's not on your machine, it's not yours. Simple as that. And that's any company, even these storage platforms. You really got to look at this and say, okay, I'm going to buy it and I'm going to put it in the cloud. All right. Well, what
Well,
happens
what happens when
when
the clouds go down?
right? What happens when the service that backs that up goes down? It's gone.
Yep.
There's no fairy out there that's going to come along and say, oh, well, you poor thing, here you go. No, it's gone. And but that's the legal piece of it. I I am of the opinion personally that there's a whole lot of hype about this whole thing. I do think that companies should be more upfront about what you're actually getting. So
Absolutely.
because
Absolutely.
there is a thing with that, and yeah, I'm just going to use I'm pick on Valve for just a moment. In which here's the thing, Steam is an awesome platform. I'm just going to say that right
Mhm.
out. I think
Yeah.
Steam is
We said
hands
it in our
down a
last episode.
phenomenal platform, but their business practice, maybe is a little lacking in that space because it can be that you think for all intents and purposes, if you're not used to this or you've never been bitten by it, you're going to think that you're buying games. You're not. You're buying a key. You're buying a right to play and use that game. You're not buying the game. So, when something happens and Ubisoft or one of these other companies decide, hey, you know what, we're not supporting that, especially if it's a purely online game. We're not supporting that anymore. It doesn't matter if it's in your inventory or not. You never had it in the first place. You're just paying for the right to play that game. That was it. So yeah, I get them taking it out of people's inventory without saying something to them, without giving them notice or asking them about it. I understand. That would be irritating to me as well. But at the same point in time, it's now useless to you because they've shut the servers down. It's gone.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. They shut this, and that's another argument that's been coming up, and another piece of contention. It's games should be hosted indefinitely, forever, in perpetuity, etc., etc., etc. Okay, who's gonna pay for that? And here's the thing: would it be great for games to be hosted forever and ever? Yeah.
It's like saying
Okay.
that
Who's gonna pay for that?
well, it's like saying that they should continue running your favorite program on television, even if you're the only one watching it.
Yeah. Like, don't get me wrong. I think games need to be preserved in some form. Yeah. Should companies or a company take the reins for that? Absolutely. I think I mean, and here's the thing that I was actually going to bring that up, that there might be a market for that. It might be a market for someone out there who's entrepreneurial enough and says, you know what, we're gonna buy up a bunch of servers. We're gonna host all these digital games that people, and you'll pay a subscription or something, or however it is they want to do that
Mm-hmm.
business model. But these games will be hosted. Hey, if anybody's listening, feel free, knock yourselves out. But Fred
Or,
Brand, thank you for chiming in, man. I appreciate it. And I do want to hear your opinion, Fred Brand. As he said, it would be great, but unrealistic. Exactly that. It's unrealistic to expect your games. Well, here's the thing, Fred, with regards to RuneScape, because you mentioned RuneScape. RuneScape is still active. So it's not like it's a dead game or it's a game that's been shut down. It's still fucking active.
mm-hmm.
And when they go out, when they go down, when they shut down, if they decide, hey, look, whoever wants to take the source code and build up a private server, go ahead. And that's another thing, that people have kind of chimed in about, well, we'll just make private servers. You're taking assets that while are not, while they're not, in use anymore, they don't belong to you. You're taking code that doesn't belong to you. You're taking things that don't belong to you. You didn't create that. And then you're going in and hosting. And here's the slippery slope with that, where you got some of these private servers who charge. So now you're making money off of somebody else's work. Everyone wants to come up with the solutions, but come up with a solution that's not theft. Come up with a solution that's viable. And right now, there really isn't one. The life cycle of the game is a life cycle game, when it's 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, 30
so
years.
that you stepped into a really deep hole there, because it really goes.
I did.
It goes into a conversation that we were having earlier, and I don't particularly.
And I don't want to go down that rabbit hole.
Right, but I want to point this out because it's important. Because we're talking about essentially IP, property rights, or trademark, or those things. Okay, like my trademark. Here's the thing with this: if they don't keep up the trademark on that particular product, in other words, they drop the game entirely, and they don't keep up the trademark on that product, and that happens.
Yeah, it does.
Then first question is it stealing? Now, here's the thing about this. Also, think about this. Should we be holding this company accountable that's providing what we're asking for, which is keep all these games alive, and at the same time, us as individuals go out and pirate shit all the time?
Yeah, there lies the question.
So I mean, and that's the thing. Do we have a leg to stand on? Do we have room to speak in that space?
Nope.
Because when we're out pirating stuff, when somebody's out pirating stuff, and I don't, you do what you do.
Yeah, it's a personal decision. That's a personal decision.
I'm not judging anybody. It's just if you go out and you pirate stuff, then who are you to point a finger at anybody else? That's the question right there. Who are you to point a finger?
No, I completely agree. And again, we're not trying to get preachy here. What you decide to fucking do with your life, that's your decision. Again, I'm not judging you. I ain't judging people who pirate.
We weren't supposed to do a sermon tonight. What?
No, we weren't.
Oh.
We weren't. I stepped in it when I made that comment. So I apologize again. We're not trying to preach. We're not trying to fucking grandstand because we are not. Again, everybody has the right to make their own decisions on how they want to live their life, right or wrong. You do you. Um, but again, I mean, Greg, you bring up a good point. It's like, do we have a leg to stand on when we're out pirating stuff? And then companies do this. And again, again, it's not two wrongs make a right or whatever,
Right.
that whole situation. But
Well,
going back to
the
to the
unfortunate
to
the
the
unfortunate thing is when we or anybody else tries to take a stance on some of these issues. I mean, it really, why do we have to have an opinion? Why do we have to have a stance on a particular thing? I mean, it's good to
because we're people.
talk about it. Well, yeah, because we have opinions,
It's
right? And
okay.
opinions are
Yeah,
like
yeah.
assholes. Everybody's got one, and they all
Everybody's got
stink.
one. That's right. Yeah, yeah. That's it right there, man. That's it right there. But again, let's get back on topic. With regards to the unrealistic expectation that has arisen, in my opinion, that has arisen with all this stuff. Granted, should companies be able to come into your Steam library or Sony, PlayStation Network, game library or what have you, and just pull shit out because they're no longer hosting it? In my opinion, no. At least not without letting you know. So then you can be like, okay, well they're gonna remove that from my library at X day. I need to download that to my home machine so I have it. And that's the thing. Like, it's about storing. And if you really want your stuff, if you really care about your stuff, then store it personally. I mean, maybe, yeah, granted, I ain't gonna, money's tight for a lot of people, but getting a 10 terabyte hard drive, not super expensive. You could save up, save you pennies, buy one, and then store your shit on that. Then you have it forever. So if it gets removed, hey, there you go. Now people are going to say, well, should we have to do that?
What does the user agreement say?
Hey, there you go. Have to go back to the user agreement. If the user agreement states, hey, we can do this and this and this because it is our product and our service that we are allowing you to use, and you don't read that and just blindly accept, then you've accepted.
Right. You've given
Not their
away
fault.
your, well, you've essentially given away your right to have an opinion.
Yeah, it's
You
not their
still
fault
have
you
an
didn't read it.
opinion, but nobody cares. That's really what it
Yeah, it's
comes
not
down
their
to.
fault you didn't read it. And we got some ads coming up, but I'm going to snooze that. Going to Free Brand's comment, one has to also factor in that some games run on older generation consoles and tech that simply is not supported anymore. Now, the difference there is I can still play my old PS1 and PS2 games, Xbox games on my old system because they were physical media copies. Absolutely. Absolutely, 100%. If you have the physical copy, then yeah, you own that. You own the physical copy. And here's the thing, though. Sometimes you don't even own that because yeah, you can you know load up that CD, you can plug that console in, but if it has some online functionality, that's not part of the game anymore. It's essentially a single player game now. Now, if you have a game that a core piece of the mechanic and interaction is an online component that is no longer supported, then oh well. Because and again, you're gonna have people who are gonna be like, Nate, you're gonna be like, well, no, you're wrong, da da da. Games cannot be hosted and kept alive forever. They can't. Even these private servers that have like I remember World of Warcraft Classic at a certain point was hosted privately by private servers. Even they can't be maintained. Some of them have shut down. Some private servers have shut down because either they can't be maintained or legal situations. But they can't, like, realistically, you can't do it. Really, you can't do it. No single person or small group of people can do it indefinitely. At a certain point, it's just not financially feasible. And therein lies the problem. Is it financially feasible for someone to host hypothetically every single game in perpetuity forever on like servers? Some probably not, because here's the thing that I think a lot of people don't want to to accept is like after a game is shut down, after even before it shuts down, it goes through a certain life cycle and it begins dying. Every game begins dying. Even RuneScape probably has a drastically lower population than when when it was in its heyday.
Hmm.
But also they have a dedicated company that's still keeping the game alive. Same thing. Another game that I can think of, I mean, obviously besides World of Warcraft, I mean that's an outlier, I think, at this point. They're just, they have the capital, they have the studio, they have the player base to keep running probably another 10 years, probably another 20 years. But another game that has a dedicated fan base and a company that's backing it, and it's been around almost 20 years, is Lord of the Rings Online. But again, they have a company that's backing it. They have a dedicated player base that's willing to shell out money at some point in time to continue development. But they're not pulling in the numbers that they once were. You know, um, I just think, first of all, on the side of the consumer, of us, of folks that enjoy some games, yes, does the verbiage need to change? Absolutely. Does there need to be a little bit more upfront notice, I guess is the best way I can put it, where, you know, I mean, some people have even put out like, hey, put the terms of service out before purchasing. Okay, yeah, is that something that could be done? Sure. But here's another problem that I don't think people are really thinking. If you didn't read it after you purchase the game, are you really going to read it before you purchase the game? I mean,
No.
be honest with yourself, guys. Be honest. I don't. That's why. If here's the thing, at least as far as I know, I don't know if something has been pulled out from my Steam library. If it has, oh well, okay, cool, yeah, whatever. Okay, I accepted the T's and C's. Yeah, go ahead, man. Knock us about. And the other thing that kind of sticking in the back of my head is because people are like, well, we should get a refund. We should get a refund if they're taking the game back. Should you know? You played the game. You played the game. we're Americans. We don't rate things.
It's like ordering a Big Mac from McDonald's and then eating it and taking the little shell that it comes in back and saying, yeah, I want a refund now. You already ate the sandwich, buddy.
Yeah, you already played the game. You already watched the movie. You already, you've already consumed the media. You've gotten your money's worth. And that's the thing that I'm me personally, and this is a me thing. I'm having trouble kind of wrapping my head around. I don't want to get preachy or nothing, but it's like, guys, you've already got your money's worth. You bought the game. You played the game for however long you played the game for, whether it's a month, a week, fucking 10 years, 20 years. wait for the sandwich to go through you, then return it. That's yeah. I don't even want to touch that one, literally and figuratively. Well, you guys got your money's worth. It's just, and there have been some well-known folks in the industry who've chimed in on this. One of them being a gentleman by the name of Pirate Software, who has worked in the industry. He's got a huge following, and he posted up. He's like, hey, games that require online connectivity to play are generally just licenses, and he's absolutely right. Now that may not have been explicitly stated and understood, but yeah, we're just buying a license to access the game. There's through servers that they run, through proxies that they run, and that's that. The consumer should be aware of. He said the consumer should be made aware of this fact at point of sale. Absolutely agree with that. And you do not own the game; you own a license to the game. Absolutely agree that yeah, you should be made aware of that. If it wasn't abundantly clear, it should be. You know,
Just wait for the sandwich to go through you and then return it. So it's kind of like they sell you shit and then you sell shit back to them. That
You
what
give
you're
the shit back to him.
thinking?
Be right back. 1 second. Uh, I'm still here. I just had to step away for a second.
Okay. So we've had a nice long conversation now about owning games. Do you own games? I think the yes and no. Obviously, if you're buying a download of a game, then you own your copy of that game. Now, does that mean you're going to get support in the future? Maybe, maybe not. Depends on how that's all set up. Um, One good thing about the Steam platform is that as long as you have your game on Steam, if there is any support there, generally you're going to be able to get those downloads, any updates or anything like that. Um, One thing I really want to be clear about with these platforms is rather than because what you see happening, and looking at all the conversations that are out there, what you see happening is people complaining basically, which okay, that's go ahead, it's your right, you can complain if you want to. But just understand that ultimately at the end of the day, you know you have a responsibility too. And if you're really that unhappy with the business practices of any particular platform, then stop buying games from them.
Mm-hmm.
Find somebody else.
Absolutely. Yeah, go to GOG, and I'm actually going to get into that piece because that's brought up as a counterpoint because they've chimed in, they've kind of chimed in on their own piece because the thing with GOG, good old games, is that they sell their games without DRM and things like that, any restrictions essentially, like any licenses or things like that. And I could be wrong. I believe that they sell them without any. I know they don't sell them. I know they sell their games and stuff without DRMs or any of those kind of licenses. Like once you buy it, it's yours. We can't go in and pull it out of your library. But here's something again that we've stated a bit ago that people may not understand. Okay, great. GOG, keep doing what you're doing, sell them without licenses. But what happens when your site shuts down? Servers go down. That's where the games are kept, right? Just like Steam, they're kept on servers somewhere. They're kept in a attached to this X account on servers elsewhere. Happens when GOG goes down. Are you guys gonna yell at GOG for not staying up and hosting stuff? Like, come on. Again, it circles back to, for me, proper expectation and understanding of what you're buying and getting. Nothing lasts forever. Nothing lasts forever. And digital media, more or less, even less so in some cases. I mean, yeah, I mean, once it's online, could it potentially be around forever? Yeah, unless someone takes down the online portion and then it's gone. And so Freybrand, kind of rewind a little bit here. Always online has always felt like an intentional crippling move to me. Um, I see your point. Yeah, having a game that you always have to be online to play can kind of be a pain in the ass because that takes into a lot of factors. Your own connectivity to the internet. What happens if you don't pay your internet bill? If you don't pay your internet bill, you have other problems to worry about than playing games. Let's be honest. Um, but that's fair, and I think a lot of games nowadays are turning to the whole always online thing, and that's a personal thing that I don't necessarily. Not every game needs to be on fucking line. That's a personal point, a personal position. Some people might think different. So Fairbrand says, what I can understand people being upset about is being sold a single player game, but they take it out of your library, even if maybe it doesn't require online. And that I will also agree with. Yes. Why are you going to take it out of my library if, you know, yeah, I don't have to be online for it. It's a single player game. Yeah. Why are you pulling it away? Um, and again, that circles back to the piece we were saying, like, be aware of what you're getting. Do I agree with that piece in that particular situation? No. If it's a single player game, I don't have to be online. You know, leave my shit alone. But again, even single player games sometimes are not supported, meaning, there's bugs, or if it's hosted somewhere that you have to, connect to, or what have you, then it
Yeah,
happens.
that's the cloud-based thing. That's definitely always going to
Yeah,
be
the cloud.
challenging.
Yeah, yeah. And I think honestly, I'm glad. Here's the thing: I'm glad legislation is coming out for this kind of stuff. Um, and what I mean by that is not that there. I mean, we've always had legislation for that, but I think the clarification.
Right.
The clear, unambiguous. Like basically, there is no way that people can't understand what they're getting, and I do think that there should be that level of clarity and just
Well,
frankness up
there'll
front,
be
even before you press buy.
there'll be more people that are more educated, but I wouldn't say that people can't not understand that, because, well, there's
You want to go?
some
You want to go down that rabbit hole, Greg?
really
You really want to go down
weird
there?
well, okay, all right, so here's a perfect story for you. Okay, this is completely
Okay.
off topic. I'm just gonna tell a story here.
No,
So
guys, I'm sorry, man.
I watched this thing the other night, and I think actually my wife was telling me about it, but on TikTok, all right, and a lady orders a pizza, a person, we'll just put person, orders pizza, okay, from Pizza Hut, okay? And of course, the guy on the other end of the phone is like, well, do you want a medium? Do you want a large? You want, and she's like, oh, no, no, I'll just take a medium, cut it in smaller pieces so it'll feed all of us, is what she tells this guy. And he's, the guy on the other end of the phone's like, um, cut it how? You want it in smaller pieces? She's like, yeah, so that it'll feed all of us, because apparently it's a house with the mom and dad and two children. He's like, well, are you sure you don't want a large pizza? And she started telling, no, I'm not. I don't want to pay more for this and all that nonsense. Just cut it in smaller pieces so that it feeds everybody. That's the representation of understanding right there. I mean, literally, this woman thought that if you cut the medium pizza into smaller
You get more
pieces,
pizza.
apparently you had more pizza.
Yeah, no, that's
like
not how that works.
the old Indian adage that only a white man would think that you can cut a foot off the bottom of your blanket and sew it to the top, and you had a longer blanket.
That honestly, I think they need to take the white man part out. Just leave that. Just applies to everybody. Because yeah, there are some people out there who think that if you cut a smaller pizza, or a medium pizza into smaller pieces, you get a large pizza.
Apparently,
That's what that says to me.
I might try
And no,
that
that's not the
sometime just to
case.
see how it works.
That's not the case, ladies and gentlemen. In case you didn't know, and
Yo,
no, I'm not
dudes,
trying to be a
the
sarcastic
Empire's
asshole.
pretty chill. Maybe you
Okay,
could
I'm really not.
join
Thank you,
it.
Harper.
Yeah, thank you for the 17th month
Resub.
sub, Harper Young,
Awesome.
Harper Ring Young, yeah. Um, but yeah, no, it's but math. So Frey, what are you confused about? Are you confused about Greg's story, or the fact that the lady didn't understand that no, you cannot cut a medium pizza into smaller pieces and get a large pizza? Oh boy.
Obviously, if you can cut it into more pieces, it'll feed more people, right? I mean, if the goal is that everybody gets a slice, then I guess you could really feed a lot of people with a medium pizza. Or maybe not a slice,
Okay,
a piece.
what are you disagreeing with, Greg? Sorry, not Greg, Frey. What are you disagreeing with? Harper says, "Don't get me started on going on math. I just got done with 8 hours of work and I teach math." Fair enough. Fair enough. We won't ask you then.
Yeah, I don't think how hungry you are is a math problem. I really don't. I mean,
well, Freybrand said small pizza cannot turn into large pizza. You are 100% correct. That's
but
exactly
I can get a
how it
lot
works.
more pieces out of it.
I don't know. I just and I see the story that you're putting out there, Greg. Because yeah, people will think that, and they'll be like, well, it, I guess, guys, just read the terms and conditions. Read the TOS. Come on, understand what you're fucking getting into, please, please. You know, and that's all I'll say. Again, I don't want to preach because it's to each their own. If it's just again, I agree. I agree with both sides. I agree that games cannot be freaking safeguarded and kept alive and forever because it's just unrealistic. Should games be curated? Should games be kept? When I mean curated, I mean should the information about a game be preserved? Should game not even information? Should games be preserved? Yes.
Mhm.
Does that mean they need to be preserved to the level of we can go back and play, you know, a game made back in the 80s,
There's
50 years from now? No.
there's a really simple answer to this whole conundrum, and that is that if you don't want to pay for that type of service, so if you don't want to not own your game, then stop paying for games that you don't own. I mean,
Exactly.
that's the simplest answer right there.
Go buy
Is
games where you own a physical copy.
as long as it is extremely profitable for these. And here's the thing: legislating it is not the answer. That is not the answer. Take some, and I'm gonna preach for a moment here. Take some personal responsibility, and just stop wasting money on things that you're saying you don't want. If you keep buying this stuff, then that's
Gonna keep doing it.
It's on you. You're facilitating it. You're telling them that it's okay.
They're gonna keep. Exactly. They're gonna keep.
You can't tell them it's okay with your wallet and then turn around and say, "But there should be laws against that." I mean, I guess you can, but it's
you can, but you do kind of look like a fool. I'm gonna say it.
It's never going to change that way. I will put it that way. It is never going to change that way. No. Legislating our way into creating laws to make the world the way we want it to be, because we're all human beings. We all have a different perspective. We all have different opinions. We all have different feelings on this stuff. You're never going to get to a place where it just works, because we're able to tie everything down to the point where we have laws to cover every little thing. Because just stop buying.
You just get caught. You just get caught with the laws that nobody fucking understands.
That's the piece you control. You control where you spend your money at. So just stop spending your money there.
Yeah, 100%. Stop spending your money. Buy physical games, or just keep your games on your local machine.
But I want it. But I want it.
Okay, well then go pay for it, or get it elsewhere. It is what it is, man.
It's exactly right.
And here's the thing, companies that are moving to digital, mostly digital, or in some cases digital only, for their own reasons, and that's their prerogative to do so as a company. That's their prerogative. You have a prerogative as a consumer to buy or not buy. If you don't support, a company that has shown you, hey, we're going to put out this product, but at a certain point, we can take it away from you. No, you will not get a refund, and no, we will not be hosting this indefinitely. Then with that information and understanding, you have an option. Buy or don't buy.
I kind of feel like I should say something in defense of the people that I was just kind of picking on there, because generally speaking, okay, the games that this is happening with, not all of them, but I mean, generally speaking, the games that this is happening with are very good games. Well,
some of them are gone.
When it starts. When it starts.
Yeah.
It's a very.
To clarify, when it comes out.
Right, right. Now I'm not talking about after it's been out for. Well, I mean, just been there now. It's perspective to World of Warcraft has been
No,
out for a very very long time, and it's definitely not
yep,
dead yet.
no, coming up
But
on 20 years this next month.
but
Next
you
month,
but
I
you
think
do
November
have
20th.
new games that come out, and if it's a really good game, it's high quality. That's the thing. It's a high quality game. It's something that really piques your interest, fun, exciting, got all the good stuff that you want. Then okay, I get it. You're going to buy it one way or the other, regardless of what that user agreement says. You're going to buy it, and you're definitely not going to read the user agreement. I just want this. Um, it's fine. Just understand that you buy whatever's in that user agreement as well.
Hmm. Yeah, much. November 23rd, 2004. So November 23rd of this year, WoW would be 20 years old. One of the oldest games in existence.
It's still going strong.
It's still going strong. And I play it. I play. There's another a game that I'll talk about that recently released. It's doing really well. That I'm playing as well, called Throne and Liberty. We'll get into that in a second. But yeah, WoW, it's gonna be 20 years, man.
I, honestly, I think there's a different answer to a lot of this stuff as well, because something that we've been working with, a company that we've been working with, is Upheaval AI, Upheaval
Yeah.
Games, and the products that they're creating and what they're working on is going to raise the level of customization pretty much across the board.
Oh yeah.
So
For
I
pretty
think
much
that right.
every industry, every creative industry. Yeah.
I think that whole demographic is going to change, and more. And actually, I kind of want to segue into a different topic here because we have a couple other
Yeah.
things
Let's
to
go.
really get to.
Yeah. Let's
But
go.
and we've spent way too long in this.
No, let's go, man. Let's take it where we're gonna take it. Come on.
But we have, there's so much opportunity that's out there, and indie studios. And I know we have something else in the docket to talk about here really quickly, but I know we're going to touch on this with the indie
Mhm.
studios piece. And there's some really, really, really good stuff that's happening based on, what's happening in the overall marketplace, because a lot of the big companies are in, whatever, they're shrinking right now. They're cutting all, everybody knows all the layoffs, all these changes that are going on. um but what that's done is it's created an environment where these creatives, these game devs that have been working, they have the experience now. They've been working on these big products. They know how to build a really good game, and they're going out on their own, and they're creating, really innovating new products. Upheaval AI is a piece of that. There's also another group that we're going to talk about later on, which I'm kind of excited about talking about that. So I'll stop there. Just stay with us. I really do want to talk about that studio because it's something exciting, and it's in the indie space. So you're not really dealing with all the AAA BS and the whatever Blizzard and all these other groups that are, they're awesome. They make great products usually. Um, but when you really take a look at what's coming out of the indie market, and just the level of quality is going up exponentially, and the
Oh yeah.
creativity that's going into it. So I
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And it's just impressive the level of talent that is transitioning from what we would classify
I'm
AAA
excited.
to
I'm
indie.
excited to see this. I mean, yeah, right now things are kind of in a downturn. You have a lot of negative going on, games being canceled, yada yada yada. But there is going to be an influx of new products that the next big thing is coming. It really, it's really the way to look at it.
Yeah. No, absolutely. So anyway, yeah,
Paradox.
Paradox Studios. Let me pull up that information real quick. Stand by. So yeah, so Paradox. Sorry. a whole bunch of, sorry, I had a bunch of different tabs open here. So a new indie studio, Nearstudios, founded by ex-Bethesda, BioWare, and Naughty Dog devs, and these
Naughty
again, these
Dog.
are the guys who came out with Skyrim and Stardew Valley. Or rather, it's a game inspired by Skyrim and Stardew Valley.
What a juxtapose. Skyrim, Stardew Valley. I mean,
Mhm.
really?
Yeah, yeah. These are guys who've worked on Skyrim, Last of Us, and Dragon Age. They've formed a new game company called Near Studios, led by Heather Serlin and Jason Richardson. It's a Maryland-based studio, and they actually came out with a game called Hawthorne Heights. Let's see, it is. Oh, sorry, they begun work on the game. Sorry,
Yeah, haven't come
I had
out
to
with it
correct
yet.
myself. Co-op sandbox RPG that combines elements of like village sims and kind of the nostalgic adventure stories from like the 80s and 90s. Um,
Fairy tale
and
style.
they've got some interesting folks on this particular project. Lead designer for Skyrim, Bruce Nesmith, will be lending his particular expertise to Hawthorne. Um, he actually coming out of retirement for the project, so it was interesting enough to pull the man out of retirement. That says a lot. So we'll see. We'll see how it turns out. Um, as a matter of fact, let's see. They also have got a couple of developers that have worked on things like Mass Effect, Ultima Online. Ooh, that's a throwback.
Mm-hmm.
Damn, that's a throwback. League of Legends and Fallout. So Fallout. Oh, I wonder who they got from the Fallout family for that one. That's going to be interesting. So basically, their aim for this one is going to be a kind of immersive co-op game that, well, this one and then obviously, hopefully, this does well, and they can continue to make games and future games, kind of to bring people together. The games that we all grew up playing, like Halo and all those co-op friendly games, Neverwinter Nights and all that. That really built communities around them. Um, and it's exciting to see a new studio of veterans and industry heavy hitters come out of the woodwork, considering the time we're in, and the closures and layoffs. I mean, there's more layoffs that I read about earlier today that's happening. I can't remember exactly which studio it is, but it's continuing to happen, and it's unfortunate. Um,
What you end up with all this is new, smaller, more highly innovative teams, and
yeah, and
it's
that's what we're
because
seeing.
they have to be. That's the
Exactly.
piece
Yeah.
to it.
They can, and it's ironic because it's like a juxtaposition. You have these huge studios with huge war chests. They have tons of money, tons of notoriety, tons of people. Again, I mean, we had that conversation with Twain the other night, where a lot of these studios are now fielding teams of hundreds of people in some cases. So they have personnel, but because of constraints that we won't go into, we don't want to go into that. For whatever reason, they don't take the risks that like logically, at least to a degree, you're sitting there like where you have all the money, you have the talent, you have the notoriety for people to take a chance on their game, but you're not willing to take a risk and do something different. Whereas you have these other, again, juxtaposed, you have these studios who, yeah, they might have a bunch of industry devs, coming from the AAA space who have experience on these large scale projects and the talent to do the thing, but then they run into it's a new studio, so they don't have they don't have the name to that degree. They don't have the money to that degree yet. They're putting out these completely innovative and new imaginings on systems that may already exist, or completely coming up with new systems and settings and mechanics and narratives, when logically, like, wait, you can't afford to make that, to do those things that may not land with people, because if it doesn't land, you don't make that money back. your studio probably going to close down. So I always found that to be an odd juxtaposition. And again, there are reasons why I don't want to go down that rabbit hole. We've done that in previous episodes, but I think it's something that's always going to be there in the industry, where you got these guys who have who have the experience, who are like, you know what, let's do something fresh. Let's try this thing, see what happens. And I'm here for it. I'm excited for it. I'm excited to see what Nearstudios has to offer. I will be keeping an eye out for Hawthorne Heights. There are a couple YouTube videos out there for first look. Here, let me see if I can drop the link for this one in the chat. Oh, they even have a YouTube studio.
Drop it in the Discord.
Yeah, I'll drop that in the Discord in our. Yeah, by the way, if you guys have not joined us on our Discord, please do. I am going to drop it in the update log section, info links. There we go. First look at Hawthorne from Nearstudios. They do have a YouTube channel that you guys should go check out. The game, from what I'm seeing, the game looks really good. And again, you have Bruce Nesmith coming out of retirement for this one. That's a big deal. So it's something worth keeping an eye on.
The one thing I caught out of that, I mean, it looks like an interesting thing. It also looks like it has a fairly well-developed crafting system in it as well.
That's a big deal. That's a big deal because a lot of games, I'm just gonna call, like, I see a lot of games really don't
put a lot of attention in that space. Right.
They don't. Really don't. It looks like we have an ad going on right now. Unless you've frozen that one.
No.
Okay. All right. I'm not seeing it on Twitch.
You want to avoid ads? Subscribe to the channel. You can avoid all the ads.
Subscribe to the channel. Subscribe to us on YouTube. Subscribe to us on X as well.
YouTube doesn't get the ads, by the way.
No, they don't. Exactly. YouTube doesn't get the ads, so you want to avoid the ads. Go watch it on YouTube as well, because we do stream there, and our VODs always end up on YouTube as well. Kind of got distracted and derailed a little bit there. Sorry. Oh, the next piece that I wanted to talk about, Throne and Liberty. So for those of you guys who don't know, Throne and Liberty is a South Korean MMO that started out in South Korea. Amazon Game Studio has picked up the publishing rights and development rights, I believe. I believe one or the other, or both. Obviously, they're licensed to publish it, but I believe they picked up both. Basically, they're now fielding Throne and Liberty here in the States. So North and South America, I believe Canada, the UK, and Japan. And it is a game that came out about a week ago now. Yeah, it was the official launch of Throne and Liberty. Nets over 3 million players within the launch week. So they're doing pretty well. They're doing pretty good. Now, I don't know if that's PC only, because I know it came out for console, PC, and it came out console and PC. So PlayStation 5, Xbox, and PC. So I don't know where the majority is. I believe the ratio typically is, if it's on PC, it's typically 3 to 6 times more on console. Don't take that with a grain of salt. I'm not 100% on the numbers there and the ratios, but game's doing pretty well. I've been playing it actually on and off for a couple days now. I think I started playing it like a couple days after the official launch. Not bad. Pretty good game. Pretty solid game. The story is, for those who've ever played a Korean MMO, the stories they're okay. They're nothing to write home about. And again, that's not me trying to, say the story sucks or anything, but there are games with deeper stories, but the story's good. Gameplay and mechanics are good. It's definitely for those of you who like PvP, PvE situations, and like kind of that combination. Definitely, that is definitely their wheelhouse. Graphics are amazing. Looks really good. It's made on Unreal 4. Go check it out. Um, Definitely, there's tons of videos out there. Go check them out. Super fun game, in my opinion. Amazon Game Studios, one of those that has had a rocky start. I mean, they got things like Lost Ark and New World now. Publishing rights, by the way, for Lost Ark. They created and published New World. They lost the rights to Blue Protocol, which was basically, I believe it's a game in Japan that they wanted to bring outside of Japan, but that got scrapped. However, they are planning on coming out with the next Tomb Raider from Crystal Dynamics. They're going to publish the next Tomb Raider game. The creators are going to be Crystal Dynamics. Now they have an in-house team called Maverick Games, and they have a Lord of the Rings MMO, Embracer. Considering some of Embracer's problems, we'll see if that Lord of the Rings MMO comes out. Considering there's already a Lord of the Rings MMO out, we'll see what happens. um, for those of you who don't know, Lord of the Rings Online is still alive and well. 17. That's another old game. 17 years now. But yeah, we've got a lot of as Craig said, there are a lot of folks who are leaving the AAA industry, whether of their own choice or not, and I'm glad to see that a lot of them are not moving to other industries. There are some, I will say that there are some who are moving to other industries with their skill sets, because especially if you're a developer, like a programmer or what have you, a lot of those skill sets can transfer to industries like software engineering and stuff like that. But a lot of them are staying within the industry and just like we said, opening up indie studios, new studios, or getting with other smaller studios for working on really really cool projects and products. Again, we've mentioned one, Upheaval Games, Upheaval AI. I'm hoping they get a couple of those folks in there to help with their projects. I know when we were talking with Twain, I believe he said they were in the phase of sitting down with some studios to start putting their product kind of in the studios to start getting some hands-on work with that. Greg, I think
Right.
that's right. Okay, good,
Right. They're
good.
they're 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 pitching right now. So that's
Yeah,
the
yeah,
that's
yeah.
the point that
That's where they're
it,
doing that.
definitely take an opportunity to take a look at Upheaval AI.
Yep.
And here's
Links
the
are going to be in our Discord again. Go check those out. Go, follow, join our Discord and check out those links there. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Greg.
just check them out.
Yeah.
They're working on some really impressive stuff, and it's going to be revolutionary in the gaming industry. But it's good stuff.
Yeah. You also have some other news. Paradox Interactive. So for those of you who don't know that particular studio, they created games like the Stellaris and City Skylines. A couple other ones. They seem to be pushing the reset button on a couple of things. They've seems from what I've been reading, they've kind of reached a little too far, a little overconfident, and they're kind of taking a step back, pushing the reset button, and um, um, going back to their roots. And I think this has to do with the closure of Paradox Tectonic, and they kind of lost roughly about $20 million.
Has to
So
do with them creating a game to compete directly with The Sims, and their game sucked. That's really what it comes down
yeah,
to.
yeah. They seem like they
Unfortunately, but
overreached.
yeah, that's the short version of the story.
Yeah, they overreached and then kind of got hit in the teeth and like, hey, yeah, we need to close up.
It sucked so bad that they decided not even to release it and to shut it down.
Yeah, and I think that's something that needs to be stated as well and kind of be understood by folks on the outside. So there are so many games out there that don't see the light of day, for various reasons. Development
Most of
constraints,
them don't get
money.
$20 million spent on them. I mean, I
Most of
would
them
hope.
don't. Yeah, most of them will get. Well, well,
I would hope.
you're right. You're
Maybe. I
you're
mean,
probably you're probably right. But I think the fact that you got studios out there spending $500 million to $1 billion on games kind of makes up for that. Um,
you
so
get
that's a
to you
lot.
get to a certain point in the investment cycle where there's no return. You are going to release something. I mean,
Mm,
once you get
yeah.
to a certain point, the good thing about Paradox is that they did all of this on their own money. They didn't go out and borrow a bunch of money. They didn't take on additional investors. They had built up a little treasure trove behind them from past successes because they did very well for a while there. Um, they just overreached. That's really what it comes down to. They started trying to experimenting, which is good, but I mean, you also got to be careful about just how far you reach out of your wheelhouse. Um, and I think
Yep.
they've learned a lesson here with this little experiment. So
Yeah, yeah. Another interesting turn that I completely forgot about. For those Halo fans, 343 Industries, which was the name of the studio that took over the Halo franchise, rebrands to Halo Studios, and they've picked Unreal Engine to be the next engine that they work on for the next uh, entry into the Halo franchise, which tentatively excited for. Um, and the reason why I say tentatively because in my opinion, 343 kind of diverged from what I feel, and I think what a number of people who have voiced their concerns, who are fans of the Halo genre, is Halo. Um, I mean, we'll poke at Halo Infinite, which is their latest entry, their most recent entry. It did okay until it didn't. Let me see what it's looking like on Steam right now. Um, let's see. Steam charts. Okay. Steam charts for Halo Infinite. All-time peak was 256,619 people. That's all-time peak. As of 5 minutes ago, 4,640 people are playing. Now that's a solid number, but for a Halo game, an online Halo game, not really that bad. Not really that great. Um,
how many million people are without power right now in the U.S.? So got to factor that in.
that that is fair. That is fair. That is okay. Thank you for bringing that up, Greg. Yes, you are correct. There are a lot of people who don't have power right now. Um, so, and again, to those who are struggling, please be safe. Hope you guys get the help you need. But yeah, they've rebranded to Halo Studios. And seems like they have some plans for the next Halo project. Apparently, Project Foundry is the name of their newest project. So keep an ear out for that. Obviously, there's going to be more to that particular story as things progress. Um, that said, what else? What else do we got? Did we cover what it was that you wanted to cover, Greg? Because I know you wanted to cover something.
Yeah, we're good. I think we're at the end of our content for tonight.
I think so, yeah.
All
I
right.
think so. Um, oh, wait. Something I remembered. For those who don't know, Diablo 4 released today. Yeah, sorry, Diablo 4's first expansion. Wow. Diablo 4 released like years ago, a couple years ago now. But Diablo 4 has released their newest expansion. Jesus, a Vessel of Hatred. So it's out now. If you're a Diablo 4 fan, a Diablo fan in general, um, go check it out. Um, I played Diablo for a little bit, Diablo 4 for a bit. Eh, all right. I don't know. The Diablo luster has kind of faded for me. So, but go check
All
it
right.
out. Go check out the new games, guys. Seriously, don't take my word for it. Go play it for yourself. Go experience it for yourself. Go join the communities for yourself. Make your own decisions. But with that said, that is it for episode 70 of the Update Log.
Awesome. Thank you all for being here tonight. Thank you, Rob.
Yeah.
Please join us again in the future. Let's see, what do we have coming up? So, I mean, we have some things coming up that we're working on right now. We
Yep.
are going to be doing a set down with a couple of folks, from Free League, to talk about the Alien Second Edition that is coming out.
Oh, yeah.
That'll be pretty
Yep, that is
soon.
right.
Um,
We have a Symborum game that we're going to be putting out content for here in the very near future. We've got the ball rolling on that. So
and more to come. We're also going to be doing some things as we roll up to GaryCon
that's right. Yeah.
2025. So we have a few things planned there. And again, I don't have a date on this, but I am going to be making a special appearance at the Ashen Jug in Green Bay, Wisconsin, for a day of
Ashen Jug.
games for anybody in the area or just wants to travel up there and play some games.
Ashen Jug.
Yep.
Did he sell beer?
No, I don't know. Maybe. I doubt it though. It's a game store. I mean,
Yeah, it's a game. So yeah.
kind of. You never know. Game store with a liquor license. Hey, that may be a new thing. I mean,
Games are more fun when you're a little, just a little responsible. Drink responsibly.
all right. So anyway,
But
I
yeah, guys, episode 70. Thank you guys for coming out. We'll see you guys next week, same time, same place.
we're gonna go ahead and raid
Well,
out tonight.
Wednesday, because this is a special
Wednesday.
occasion.
Yeah.
Wednesday, yes, Wednesday, 8 o'clock, right here on the Razzmatazz channel.
Unfortunately, I'll be traveling for the next few days, so
Yeah, we had to do a little bit of an adjustment of schedule.
yes, we did. All right. Actually, I think I'm going to jump over here to Havoc and go see what they're doing. Start
right.
the raid. Cool. Again, thank you everybody for being with us tonight and look forward to seeing you again in the future.
Mm-hmm.